Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner Football Fans podcast. Today we have from Midwest City, Sooner fan Andrew Southard on with us. And we spend the next 45 to 50 minutes talking about why can't OU have a better defense and this myth that Big 12 can't play defense. Well, let's take a look at TCU. Sooner football fans is not associated with the University of Oklahoma, but we do have eligibility left. Boomer. Hey, Sooner football fans. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer, Rob.
Boomer, Terry.
And on the phone tonight, or today, it's going to be Wednesday tomorrow. We record these at night. From Midwest City, we have Andrew Southard on. Boomer, Andrew.
Boom, guys.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Oh, we're hanging in there. Rob is still fascinated with
Lauren Chamberlain.
and probably will be for a while. But
She's a goddess, man.
There's nothing wrong with that. But no, he just found out that there were more pictures on ESPN, the magazine site. So he's
but there's dudes too, and so you got to be careful. I'm just saying, if you go out to do that, you might want to just keep that in mind.
Yeah, because somebody was saying I think Greg Norman's in this one.
I don't know.
Did you find Greg in it?
Well, I wasn't looking at the dudes, so I was trying to flip, and then it's like there's too many dudes. So,
but anyway, well, Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself in Midwest City. You're a Sooner fan, obviously. How long you've been a Sooner fan, and what got you into Sooner football?
Well, pretty much been a Sooner fan my whole life. My dad was a big, huge Sooner fan, so we grew up watching games on tapes and stuff, and him always going after it, and really loved them, and I just hitched on to it. So, so pretty much my whole life. Lived in Oklahoma my whole life. Pretty much, I mean, you name it, I'm probably lived there, but we moved around a lot, so. And other than that, moved up here to Midwest City with my kid and girlfriend. We've been here about 2 years, I think. And other than that, that's about it. So,
do you get to get down to Norman and catch games, or are you like me? I
have not got to go to a game. I have tailgated at a game, but I have not actually got to go to in the stadium. I've never had the money for one, and so
well,
I've never actually been in the stadium for it.
This is the first year that, honestly, that me and my wife have had season tickets, and but honestly, I kind of prefer watching them at home. I always have. Just simply because I can have a cold beer and sit in my nice comfortable chair and not have to worry about the people around me bumping me and spilling water and ice cream and this but it is a great atmosphere though. It's one of the best in college football, I think. It's not probably as loud as a lot of places, but now that they've closed that south end zone, a couple of games I've been to with it down there, it's louder now than what it's ever been. So
I've heard it's pretty crazy. There sometimes.
But plus it's a gorgeous facility, so they put a whole lot of money into it. But so is that what you normally get friends over, watch the game, or you just kind of?
It's just me and sometimes I can get the kiddo to watch it. If she wants to pay attention, she loves football, but she's got a short attention span. She's yelling at him, catch it.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that either. Some of the, there's been plenty of games I've sat at home, because Rob works down at the stadium, so he doesn't get to watch the home games. But there's been plenty of times it's, I'm sitting in the den, and my wife might come in and watch it, or my son with me, or something else, but I'm quite content to sit at home and not be bothered and not deal with the crowd and everything. But I still yell at the TV and
yeah,
you know,
me too.
and you know, my wife brought me one of those foam bricks that you can throw at the TV. So
you were trying to throw stuff at the radio this morning, weren't you?
Yeah. And then I tried to those little foam so they don't have much weight to them. And my TV is a pretty good ways away, so I'll almost throw out my rotator cuff trying to throw it to hit the TV because it's so light you can't get it that far. So
yeah, you're like, ah.
Yeah, and then then my dog thinks it's I'm playing fetch with him, and so he grabs it. So but anyway, first off, I do want to apologize and let everybody know that Andrew was supposed to be on with us last week, and we had some technical difficulties that we'd never had before with our phone line, and we worked to try to fix it, and we couldn't get it fixed, and so we asked him to, if he'd be willing to wait a week and come on, and he did, and we appreciate that. And I was telling him before we got on, I ordered a new part, got everything hooked up. It still wouldn't work, and so I watched a YouTube video, hooked it up another way. It started working, got in here to call him, and the damn thing didn't work again. So I hooked it up the way it was hooked up when it stopped working, and so far so good. So, but we're sorry about that. Hey, we're not professionals with $1,000 worth of equipment sitting in a studio. We're sitting in a little den area with a computer and a mixing board and some microphones, and so when it breaks, we scramble to fix it. But anyway,
I appreciate y'all doing it.
Well, we have fun with it,
keeping it going.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to get into something that I've been itching all day to talk about, and this morning I was listening to one of the morning shows, sports radio shows, and I just got furious, okay, because I've heard it for years now, and they were talking about Big 12 offenses and Big 12 defenses. At least they were talking about basketball and not LeBron James coming to Oklahoma City, but they were talking about football.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but I've heard it for so long, and then I hear it in the national media, and the Big 12, the offenses, they're just spread out, they're go, and they don't play defense. The Big 12 doesn't play defense, and they were actually saying this morning that you can't play good defense in the Big 12. It's just too spread out. These teams are going to put up a lot of points and or a lot of yards. If not a lot of points, a lot of yards. You're not going to have a good defense in the Big 12. Okay.
No, not.
So, first off, Andrew, do you agree with that we can't have a good defense in the Big 12?
Well, to a point. I mean, I get that we got a lot of spread systems and stuff, but, Gary Patterson slows down quite a few people, like they were talking about earlier.
Right.
He's in the Big 12, been in the Big 12 for years.
Everyone except us.
TCU's not a Big 12 champion, but they kind of got it figured out at least a little bit to slow it down. So, I see where they're coming from because, we're high-power flying. We got guys breaking off 20, 30 yards down the field.
Well,
nothing we can do about it. It's just stand there and look at them like, whoa.
Well, here's the thing is that just like what you said, TCU. So TCU, is tied for the Big 12 a couple of years ago, has always been a good, solid team, but they've never been a powerhouse. They've gotten a Big 12 title. They beat some big teams, but they are perennial, regularly in the top 25 in defense. Okay. And the last 3 years we have been 67th, 83rd or 82nd, something like that. And then this past year, 67th again, 67th. Yeah. And Gary Patterson's TCU had the number 19 ranked defense in the country.
Jeez.
Okay. They played the same teams that we played head to head. So what I did was got out my little, calculator, my fingers and toes, and started adding stuff up. And I'm just going to do a rundown of the games, and we can comment on them as we go through them. Okay. TCU was at Oklahoma State, and they beat Oklahoma State 44-31. Okay. TCU's defense gave up 449 yards to Oklahoma State's offense,
which was a pretty good
offense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a bad performance.
They are.
Now, Oklahoma played Oklahoma State, won 62-52, and gave up 661 yards.
Oh my God.
Okay. So TCU, we allowed 21 more points to be scored on us than was
and
TCU.
215 something yards or something.
212 yards.
So 12.
Yeah, 212 yards more.
Yes,
so number one, TCU beats us, and they held Oklahoma State to just 31. We held, we didn't hold them to 52. They got 52, and and they got 661 yards. So they got 212 more yards on us than they did.
If you put 661 yards on somebody, you ought to win that game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Okay.
They just ran out of time.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go to the Kansas State game. I'm going to skip the West Virginia one, Rob, because it's Texas. TCU played at Kansas State and won 26-6 and gave up 216 yards. Oklahoma played at Kansas State, won 42-35 and gave up 412 yards.
They're an offensive juggernaut.
So Kansas State
they ain't even got a quarterback down there.
Kansas State scored 29 more points against us and 196 more yards against us. So our defense gave up 29 more points than TCU's did, and got Kansas State got 196 more yards against our defense. Okay. The next team, is Kansas. They played at TCU. TCU won 43-0. Okay. And gave up 21 yards.
21
yards. Their defense gave up 21 yards, and that's it. Oklahoma beats Kansas at Kansas 41-3 and gave up 155 yards. Okay. So Kansas scored 3 points against us and none against TCU. And then they got 134 more yards than against us than they did TCU. So Kansas played, even though both games were blowouts, Kansas played us better than they did TCU, at least defensively. Yeah. And then the game that we both lost.
Well, now we were at Kansas, and Kansas was at TCU. So I mean, it shouldn't be a conversation. But
it's always harder down. It's always harder down there when we go down there too.
Yeah,
up here.
It's colder and windier, but the fans, there's more fans at Hartshorn, Oklahoma high school games than there are at Kansas games. So.
That's
flattered.
Then we got Iowa State. Okay. Ugh. TCU lost to Iowa State 14-7 and gave up 255 yards against Iowa State. And then, of course, we play Iowa State
also lost to Iowa
and
State.
Also lost 38-31 and gave up 449 yards to their offense.
To a linebacker.
Yeah, to a linebacker playing quarterback. Okay, so Iowa State scored 24 more points on our defense and got 194 more yards on our defense. Okay. Now Texas. TCU beats Texas 24-7, gave up 263 yards. We beat Texas 29-24 and gave up 428 yards. So Texas scores 17 more points on us than they did TCU and got 165 more yards on us than they did TCU. Okay. Now we go to Texas Tech. 27-3. TCU wins. Gave up 327 yards. Oklahoma beats Texas Tech 49-27. Gave up 437 yards. So again, Tech scores 24 more points against our defense and gets 110 more yards. Baylor, it's the same story.
Oh, Lord.
Baylor, TCU wins 45-22 and gives up 393 yards. Oklahoma beats Baylor 49-41 and gives up 523 yards. So Baylor scores 19 more points on our defense and gets 130 more yards. And then last but not least is West Virginia. And we can talk about West Virginia again here in a little bit. But TCU beats West Virginia 31-24 and gives up 508 yards. Okay, that's their worst performance in the Big 12. Oklahoma,
which they still won.
Yeah, and they still won.
Yeah.
Oklahoma wins 59-31 against West Virginia, gives up 387 yards. Okay, that is the only game that Oklahoma's defense gave up less yards than TCU's defense did. We gave up 121 less yards than TCU did against West Virginia. So,
wow.
Gary Patterson, everybody talks about him as being a defensive genius. He's still, and you got to give him credit, he still calls his own defensive plays, his own defensive schemes. The defensive rank this year was 19th. Oklahoma's was
for TCU.
For TCU. Oklahoma was 67. You flip that around and give Oklahoma the number one offense like we had and the 19th ranked defense.
Oh, we won a national championship every year.
And my point is here I just compared team by team. These guys play each other every year. Yeah, you have the home field advantage and all this other stuff, but take all that out. Our defense was terrible even in winning games. I've said it before. We've talked about it before. We lost 2 games last year. We don't talk about losses, but we lost 2 games last year. We were 1 series away from losing the Oklahoma State game, the Baylor game.
Baylor. Yeah.
Who else? The Kansas State game. And
Texas.
Texas.
Lost to Texas too. Yeah.
We were one series away. If we don't score or something else, we give up something, and that's just football. But my point is people, this is bullcrap. Everybody talking about the Big 12 can't play defense. TCU can play defense.
TCU's doing it. They're about the only ones though. I mean, really,
right? So TCU's problem is they can't play offense. So we're like the mirrored image of each other. We've got the high-powered offense. And they've got the high-powered defense, and we've got. Yeah. And my point is this is friggin' Oklahoma, okay? Home of blue bloods, one of the most storied programs in college football, and still is, And the fact that we can't put a better product out on the field defensively than what we've been doing is ridiculous.
67 is terrible.
Yes, it is. I mean,
by the way, do you know who had the number 1 ranked defense last year?
Alabama.
And guess what? They won the national title.
That's no shock.
But you know who else had a higher ranked defense than we did?
Everybody. Oh.
I just wrote down 3.
Yeah.
BYU,
Vanderbilt,
Navy, Iowa State.
Yeah. Yeah. It was who else? Rob.
BYU, Navy, and Iowa State. All 3 of them
had better defense.
But so did Appy State, and so did oh my goodness.
Well, but here's the. I say it's embarrassing because it is to me a little bit embarrassing when you really look at it. Alabama wins the national championship, and they had the number 1 defense. Clemson is in the playoffs, has the number 3 ranked defense. Georgia beats us and plays in the national championship game. They have the number 5 ranked defense. We have the number 1 offense in the country across the board, and the 67th ranked defense last year, when the other ones were sitting there with the stronger defense.
You know what we just proved?
Yeah.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships. I love the offense. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but defense wins.
Yeah. We basically, honestly, you look at it in these Big 12 games, we just outscored them. We didn't stop anybody.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
We just outscored them.
Wow.
Okay.
A couple of them we came back from behind.
Right.
In Texas and Baylor and
You know, and Georgia does come back and beat us. You know, they you know, figured out a way to stop it, in which, you know, I saw Baker the other day. I was kind of surprised he said it. He kind of said it, kind of tongue in cheek, but not really. You know, they asked, you know, what happened in the third quarter, you know, because you guys were just routing them. And he said, what Rob, you and I have said many a times is, he said, we took our foot off the gas. We got into a mode of protect the lead, don't make mistakes, and don't do anything to lose it, when, you know, we learned earlier against Iowa State to keep your foot on. Keep your foot on their throat. But he even said, we went into a safe mode.
Yeah,
but
we did, because the running backs were getting all over us.
You know what happens when you go into prevent defense?
Prevents you from winning, right?
Prevents you from winning.
Yeah.
But I mean, I literally was, you know, because, you know, I live in Norman and my office is down in Purcell, and I was getting on to, that was about I-35 and Tecumseh Road when this topic came up, and I was so pissed all the way to Purcell. And they'd even got off of it, and all I could sit here and keep thinking. And normally I listen to our podcast in the morning when they're out, and you know, but they were talking OU football when I got in the car, and so I'm like, I'm going to listen and see what they're going to talk about. And then they got into that, and they talked about it from my house all the way to I-35, and then I was mad for 19 more miles to my office. And I've thought about it all day long. It is just, I am so sick of hearing that about the Big 12. The Big 12 can't play defense or doesn't play defense. Maybe that's the point, is the Big 12 doesn't play defense, but it's not that they can't.
For Mike's sake, we better start.
Yeah. You know, he just got a 3-year or 2-year extension when you do the math, and you know, a couple thousand, you know, year raise. Not that you know he needs it when you're making $900,000. I don't know why you need a $5,000 a year raise, you know. But my point being, and our point being, is that it's time for our defense to catch up with our offense. Nobody, I don't think you, Andrew, or Rob, I know Rob and I are not sitting here saying we need to have the number one offense and the number one defense.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but I'm saying we need to have. I mean, we're gonna the coach that we have is an offensive mind. Okay, he's going to put his input on the defense, but he's always going to have an offense that's going to be up there. I believe that 100%. I do believe he's going to keep this offense rolling, regardless of who's back there. The problem is if we're not, we damn sure better not become what we are this year after year. Outscore you. We need to.
It doesn't work with.
Yeah, it doesn't work in the playoffs. And
no, it don't.
You know, hey, if we hold everybody to 17, 24 points, we win every game. We blow out everybody with this offense. That's all we need.
If we could just hold them to 20, even, that'd be nice.
No, but it's just, to me, it gets irritating sometimes to listen to these, analysts and sports guys, and we're fans. That's all we are. We watch it. We don't sit around and get to live our life as analysts and watch game after game, and I get that. But for people to sit and say the Big 12 can't play defense, it's hard to play defense against these spread offenses, and so on and so forth, it's a cop-out. It has gotten to the point, to me, it's a cop-out. All we're doing is showing you one team, and go back the last 10 years in national rankings. I didn't go that far back. And look where TCU's defense is ranked. They're always going to be in that top 25 or 30. And there's been years they're in the top 10. I think year before last they were in the top 10. Yeah. But the one team they couldn't stop last year was Oklahoma. I mean, and it was basically it was the same two games.
Well, nobody could really stop us.
Yeah,
we just ran into somebody that could outscore us.
Right, we just ran it. Yeah, somebody who had to
play our game better. So
right. But anyway, so those of you, if you want to tweet and throw it out there today, listening to it, going, "You're crazy," Tell me how I'm crazy. Just
at Terry Long.
no, not at Terry. You can do it on. You can do it on either one. The bottom line is it's a crap excuse. It's people. I think now we're trying to say, it's just our offenses are so good. No, you can build a good defense. You can build a good defense.
They can slow it down at least.
Yeah.
At least.
The problem. Our problem has been just haven't been getting it done, and we talked about it.
Kansas State put 412 yards on us, man. That is not a juggernaut offense.
No.
Okay.
No.
And most of that was quarterback keep. They lined up in that
We're going to run the same play about 200 times.
Yeah.
See if y'all can stop it. Boom, boom,
right
boom.
up the middle with the fullback leading the way in the quarter. I'm like, that's what you do in 5th and 6th grade flag football and tackle football.
How about a run blitz?
Yeah.
You just want can you just bring the house.
But and we've heard all the excuses. When Mike said afterwards, there's certain things we want to do, but you don't have the personnel. And so on and so forth.
Yeah, Mike's always throwing that out.
Yeah, but bottom line is they're Division I athletes. They came to Oklahoma. Then it's your job, to develop it into that. And we talked about it on today's podcast or yesterday's podcast. Now that I think part of the problem is that Mike and Bob had an idea of the type of defense they could build to stop the Big 12, and they were going to show everybody how to do it, and it didn't work because we started recruiting smaller linemen, defensive ends that dropped back into coverage and all this other stuff. I think they were hoping for a smaller, speedier defense would stop it, or they could develop it, and they couldn't. And so now I'm hoping, and it's looking like Lincoln is going, no, Mike, go back to what we used to be. Go back to an Oklahoma defense, the best defensive line in the country. Dusty Dvorak.
They're getting the guys in there to do it.
I mean, when's the last time we had a guy like Dusty Dvorak or boy that's playing for the Buccaneers now? He's from Oklahoma City. Golly,
it's not Coy. It's
McCoy?
Colt
McCoy.
Not Colt McCoy.
Not Colt McCoy.
Gerald McCoy.
That's right.
Yeah, Gerald McCoy.
Gerald McCoy. He was the last one. I mean, truly dominant defensive lineman. I mean, Stryker and Oboe, they were good defensive ends and stuff, but we didn't have somebody that when the game came on, they went, this guy right here.
Yeah, I mean, we had those. I mean, that was it. Stryker on that defense was the only guy.
I think we got some now, though.
Oboe was the only guy doing anything. But that's what you can't have that. You got to have 2 or 3 guys doing stuff like that,
Yeah.
You can't have one guy.
I think I seen Michael Thompson today.
Oh,
because there was a golf cart that was going down the road, and it was leaning heavily to one side. It was like there's a whole lot of person in the passenger side of that golf cart. And when they came by, that person had a knee brace on,
and he just had knee surgery.
And he had this look on his face like he would kill the world. I was like, I'm scared of him.
But I mean, that's like Tommy Harris. I remember every stinking team we played double teamed Tommy Harris every play. Now that's that's a freak athlete like Adrian Peterson and stuff. But that's why Dan Cody and Dvorak were so good. They'll tell you that it was we could run free because they had to put 2 and 3 guys on Tommy, or he was gonna throw somebody out of the stadium by himself if you went 1-on-1 with him.
But you know what? I think Dusty and Cody were both elite players.
Oh yeah, but. We just haven't seen that, and it looks like like you said, it looks like we're building it now.
We're gearing up toward it, I think.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, you never know till we get them out there,
Yeah, but
it seems like they're building towards going back to that. They've been to that.
Yeah, and these defensive athletes that we're getting or that are coming to Oklahoma now. I think they're forgetting or they've gotten them to forget about this is the Big 12. What they're looking at is look at what our offense is doing, look at what we're building here, look at these facilities. All we need is you in the mix on our defense, and we're playing for titles. We're winning titles. That's what's bringing these kids here. I mean, Lincoln's doing that.
Oh, yeah, Lincoln's probably the best recruiter ever since Lister, I'd imagine.
Right.
He's getting them in there like nobody's business.
Yeah. But, but that's, my little rant for the evening. I mean,
no, it's a good one. No, I agree. I'm sure, Andrew, I'm sure you do too. If we move that defense up 30 spots to, what would that put us at? 37?
37. Yeah.
37. I'm telling you, we beat Georgia, and then we go on to beat Bama last year.
Yeah.
If we're 37 this year with relatively the same offense that we put on the field last year, we're playing for the national championship.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
no doubt.
It's that simple. I mean, and we say that simple, of course, but it's the deal is that you can't put half a package together, and expect to win it. Our defense is behind our offense. Okay.
Way behind.
Yeah, way behind. And I am not, Sooner fans. I'm not dogging Bob Stoops. I'm one of the biggest Bob Stoops fans out there, but part of this is his fault, this defense, because I'm telling you, go look at what they've done the last four. Him and Mike, it was their defense, and it was their doing and their recruiting that they got in, and Jay, who comes on with the Brainiacs, was saying, well, it's hard to get those elite athletes, and they're few and far between. Well, we used to, we used to get Tommy Harris and all these guys, but it is a deal where they went to a smaller, stature.
Yeah, they were going after faster guys, not as big of guys, they wanted people run downfield with these receivers.
And trying to stay with this spread.
Yeah.
They're trying to get faster. Well, that's obviously not working. Let's just get bigger and go in there and beat up on some quarterbacks.
Yeah. Just, get them all, all of their spread, everybody else's spread is, it's a timing. And what we're doing now is not as much of a timing as it is. All you need to do is just get them off half a step, play a bump and run, play, we've all heard it and we've all griped about it, 10 yards off the ball, cornerbacks, what, I can catch a ball if you give me a 10-yard cushion. I mean,
turn everybody into a Heisman contender. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's what we play.
Yeah, because there's somebody on the other side of our defense that we make look, like you said, that's a great one, Andrew, like a Heisman contender.
Yeah.
I mean,
400, 500 passing yards, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's. But I do think, the direction is there. I'm not a fan of, and Rob isn't. We're not a fan of fire Mike Stoops. I'm not going to do that because that's not supporting your team.
Yeah, but I want him to do better. I want him to do better.
But if he don't get better, somebody needs to tell him he needs to retire. Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't understand why I get the raise, it's I'll make the Big 12 championship. Well, here's a raise for everybody. I just didn't want to another 2 years to work with. I just thought they were, brought in that Diaco guy or maybe Ruffin. I thought they were grooming one of them for the future. I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah, and some of it is too. I mean, it's a recruiting thing. I mean, if they're rebuilding this defense and he's out there, they're going, hey guys, look, we just gave Mike an extension. He's going to build this defense back up. I read the little deal today on Spencer Rattler when he said that when he always wanted to go to OU and it was not, but when Lincoln called him and said he's going to be the coach, it was done, and maybe that's what some of these kids are doing is like, we want to play for him. We want to be a part of this. And so they're saying, hey, we gave him a raise and he's going to be around because the fan base, as you know, is throwing a fit over our defense. These three guys on this podcast included, but we just want to see change. We want to see a better product. we need to get these kids, and I think maybe the extension has been a deal where, hey, we're building a long-term thing here. He's going to build it back to what it was. We're committed to him because, negative recruiting is out there, and I haven't even thought about this, Rob. If these defensive kids come in Oklahoma, they're going to fire him. So why go there and play? They're going to have a whole new system.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah. So
even if I was crooked, like people in Texas are.
But anyway, but I mean that's one of the things that you'd said, Andrew, about talking about on the podcast is how close are we to a national championship, and that's how close we are. I think we all agree with that, and I think all Oklahoma fans agree with it. We're 30 spots away defensively, and maybe not even that much.
Probably not that much. But not with the offense we had last year. We'll see what the offense this year throws at us, but I don't think there's going to be that too much of a fall off. So I think we're still pretty close.
Yeah, I think we might even be better. I don't know.
I think there's a really good chance that our offense is going to be better.
Yeah.
I know, everybody's a Baker fan. I was too.
Well, it's Baker, it's Andrews, it's Orlando Brown. But I don't know how you could lose those three guys and be better.
Okay. P. Ryan, Mixon.
I know. I get it.
Said the same thing.
Every time. What are y'all gonna do when what are y'all gonna do when
y'all lost P. Ryan,
what
Mixon?
Are y'all gonna do when,
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, and everybody was like, "Yeah, what's a Baker gonna do?" Well, cock the shotgun up and. In walks Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb, and
you're saying the potential is there for us to be better. Well, the potential is also there for us to be worse. So,
I think it's going to be, offensively, I think it's going to be another fun year. It's just as, whether we can stop. And I am really, really interested to see the wrinkles that Lincoln's going to put into. His RPO style offense, but with the new quarterback, with Kyler Murray, there's going to be something crazy that he's going to do with it, and that's going
Kyler's got speed like crazy, so
it's going to be really interesting to see what our offense looks like next year.
Mordecai, I'm just saying, Mordecai.
I'm just saying it right now. There's no way Kyler Murray does not go to the major leagues today if he
finds out he's not number one.
Yeah, if he wasn't. If he didn't get that agreement to say, I might get to play. Yeah, I might get to play quarterback. I don't care what anybody says.
No, he would have been out of there.
But that's not to say he can't lose the job.
That's true.
But
he goes out there and struggles with, get his butt on the bench. But
he's going to have to hit those passes. That's the critical spot.
Yeah. If he don't, they may buy him a plane ticket to Oakland. And
they might pack his bags for him. Get on out, Kyle.
I've heard that you shouldn't rule out Tanner Mordecai.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
So we'll see when it gets here. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. But
he's supposed to be.
Okay, let's get to Caleb's question of the week. Caleb, who doesn't, come on the podcast with us.
He doesn't like us.
Yeah, during the off season, only wants to be on when there's great things to talk about. Doesn't want to be creative, but he is being creative and putting together a question for us.
All right.
So this week's question was Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterbacks. Put out the article on Monday about all the NFL teams coming in and visiting with Lincoln Riley and looking at his offense, and some of them are talking about using bits and pieces, maybe even more than bits and pieces of his offense, because like we said earlier, pretty much it ranked in every category, ranked number one almost in every single category. Okay.
Yeah.
So NFL teams are wanting to emulate that, see what's doing. So Caleb's question is, with these guys coming in and talking to him and wanting to see that, How long will Lincoln Riley be here before he goes to the NFL? What's your thought?
I don't really see him going to the NFL. I mean, it ain't like he's going to make more money or anything going to the NFL. So
It's going to be dealing.
I really don't see him. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, money is one thing because I mean they're not going to pay. You know, they could. He might make a little more money, but not anything that OU couldn't match.
No.
Plus, he's not coaching. Rich crybabies who want things done a certain way, so it doesn't have to deal with that. But my whole point of it is this is Oklahoma does this, the fan base and media does this all the time. It's always knee jerk. Oh my gosh, the NFL is coming here to talk to him. They love his offense and he's going to go to the pros. Okay, they said that about Bob Stoops the first 10 years he was here. Bob never went anywhere.
Nope.
I don't know that he didn't talk to anybody, but I just don't think it's something that interested him. And the people who have mentored Lincoln Riley are all college coaches. Ruffin McNeil, all Bob is the biggest influence, and then these other ones. But with Bob's influence on him. Well, now you got Barry's influence on him, and then you got the old ball coach,
Spurrier.
Spurrier will tell you how well that went for him. And then he's got Coach Beamer, and so he's got the Coach Beamer who going, hey, you're the coach of one of the greatest programs in college football history. Just win. That's all you got to do. Win, compete, and win titles.
I know Switcher's talking to him. He's definitely been in his ear to staying in Oklahoma because I've heard Switcher didn't like coaching the Cowboys and stuff because he couldn't be up and personal with them. It was just like, y'all got to go win a Super Bowl. There was no teach. He's like, I want to teach young men. I want to shape and mold them, not go to win a Super Bowl, So these guys are there. He's definitely, telling him, hey, you should stick with OU.
I think one thing's for sure. I don't think we ever have to worry about losing him to another school. Like we were always worried that Bob was going to go to Florida because we thought that was the school he really, really wanted to be at. I don't think we had to worry about that with Lincoln. If we ever lose him, it will be to the pros.
Right. But I don't think it's anytime soon. I mean,
I don't either. No.
Nah, I don't see him leaving anytime soon.
I mean, and
sure.
He doesn't seem, just like what you said about, Coach Switzer, Andrew, is that he doesn't seem like the type of person who wants to deal with, 25 to 40, 35 and 40-year-old men making, millions of dollars. He likes dealing with these young kids
who makes $5 million a year.
Yeah, he's making $5 million a year. But I mean, that's what he prefers to do. He likes being involved. I think the recruiting, he is a recruiting genius.
Well, now let me just throw the wrench in. All right, so last year he did great, right? What if this year he throws an 8-6, and then next year he throws out a 7-7?
Well, then we know he's never going to. then we know he's never going to the NFL. He'll go be a coordinator somewhere.
I'm just saying, as long as he wins, he will be king here.
Right.
So.
Right.
And I mean, Bob. Let's face it, Bob. Won one national title. Okay. But for the 18 years he was here, right? Yeah, it was 18, 19 years that he was here. There was probably only 2 or 3 years that we weren't in contention. We weren't in the discussion. And we want to win them, but it's just important to Oklahoma fans is at the end of the week, at the end of every week, we want to hear Oklahoma in the discussion.
We want to be at the big dance.
Right. And
we lost more than we won, but I mean that's just the way it goes sometimes. But definitely we want to win those.
Right? Yeah, you want to win them, but if we weren't there, we'd have been more upset at. I mean, he ended up playing in 5, wasn't it, or 4?
I think 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's say
2000.
Well, USC, LSU, Florida.
Yeah.
And it was just 4, wasn't it?
Well, Florida State.
Florida State. So yeah, it was just four. He played in four.
Yeah.
No, but and that was in his early tenure, but I mean, we got to the playoffs with him. He was the first coach to get us to the playoffs. And we were always in the discussion, when it was the BCS, it was, Oklahoma, you were mathematically out of it, but we may have been ranked 5th or 6th or 4th. We were just mathematically out of it. But that's what people want. You're competing for titles and winning titles. And Bob won a title a long time ago, okay? But he was always competing for a title. Whether it be Big 12 or national, Oklahoma was relevant for those 18 years.
Well, and we carried the Big 12 all those years, pretty much.
And, but I mean that's the whole point. That's what Oklahoma fans, I think, demand. We demand winning. We demand championships. But Bob didn't win a championship for since 2000. So it was because he competed all the time. There was and even Barry. I mean, when Barry, he won it in the 70s, and it was 85 before he won another one. It was 10 years. It's not easy to do.
No.
Even though Alabama's making it look easy to do.
I hate them.
Well, I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what he's done there, but I can see Lincoln Riley doing the same thing here.
Let's hope.
It definitely could.
If anybody's ever going to break our 47 win streak, I hope it's us.
Yeah. But and that's another part. I think that streak is safe in NCAA football. There is just too, just everything is just so more advanced now. These kids' diets and the game and the work ethic. I mean. Back in the 50s, they went home and these kids went home and hauled hay and dug ditches and worked on oil rigs when they weren't in college. They'd come back to college. It was a break. I mean,
just out there having fun.
Now these kids are training year round, and they're just getting bigger, faster, stronger, and meaner. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But hey, Andrew, we appreciate you coming on. Rob's got to get to an appointment, I think. He keeps looking at his phone. He's either looking at the time and looking at me, or he's looking at...
It's Lauren Chamberlain. She's texting
me. No, but, hey, we enjoyed it. We appreciate you coming on, and, we've got your number, and we hope you'd be willing to do it again.
Oh yeah, I had fun, guys.
Yeah, and we got some stuff coming up, for the season. Once the season gets around, that we're going to be kicking off and doing some stuff, with groups of fans and things on the podcast. So we'll get you involved in that as well. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
All right, well, that's the podcast, folks. We appreciate you joining us.
We really appreciate it, Andrew.
And Boomer Rob.
Appreciate y'all.
Boomer Terry.
And Boomer Andrew.
Boomer.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. If you want to be on the podcast and talk Sooner football with us, go to www.soonerfootballfans.com. Click on the How to Be on the Podcast tab, fill out the form, and we'll get you on. Boomer.